Alright, so I'm going to be replacing the battery on this 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro model A1502 early 2015. Alright, so we're going to be using two different screwdrivers. We're going to use a P5 or Pentalobe 1.2, and we'll be using a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. And then we'll also be using a thin, flat, scrapey pry tool thing like this. You don't want a knife. It's not supposed to be sharp, and it's supposed to flex easily. Alright, other people have used stuff like dental floss or something, or fishing line or some kind of wire, I don't know. But I haven't been able to get that method to work, and it really hurts my hands, so that's what I use. We're also going to use some 91% isopropyl alcohol and some paper towels to clean up the adhesive residue. So yeah, let's begin. We're going to start with the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver, and we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom. I don't know if you noticed, actually let me show you this. So the thing is actually like bowed out because of the battery, so when you put this here, you can see the laptop actually can like wobble. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead and continue getting all the screws out. Alright, if this video helps you out, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share my channel so that other people can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, if your MacBook has this issue where it's like flexing out like that, you do want to hold the cover down as you remove the screws. Otherwise, the popping out, the flexing of the battery part can pop the screws out as you're kind of like removing them, and it can actually like launch the screws somewhere. So you want to kind of make sure that you are holding this cover down. That way it's not going to just randomly fling itself up. Like as you can see now, it's all springing itself up. Alright, so that's very important, and yeah, let's go ahead and continue getting this out. When the batteries are actually inflated like this, it makes them easier to remove. Maybe the dental floss method would be easier once it's like this. I can actually try that, but when it's flat, I would think it's a lot harder. So anyways, I don't know. I'll just continue using my normal method because, yeah, I mean, it works for me every time, so why not? Alright, there you go. Then usually I'll grab here and kind of wiggle and pull this up, but as you can see, the inflated battery did that for me already. It's very dusty inside here, so we are going to clean that up, and also I'm amazed it didn't yank out the trackpad or touchpad cable there. If the touchpad cable gets yanked out, it will actually also disable your keyboard. So keep that in mind. If your keyboard and touchpad or trackpad aren't working, that's why. It's probably the battery pulled that out, or maybe that cable's loose. And it could also be your trackpad needs to be replaced. Okay, anyways, I'll see you guys in a bit. Gonna clean the dust and I'll be back. Alright, so I'm back. We cleaned up the bottom cover a bit. Alright, a lot less dust inside. Let's go ahead now and get to removing this. So we're going to switch on over to the T5 or Torx 5. Let's go ahead and actually disconnect the battery real quick. So let's zoom in here. Okay, just like all these other Retina MacBooks, you got this connector here, which kind of just presses fit. So I just use my fingernail here to pull that, and we're going to pull both sides just like this. Okay, and there we go. We got that cable disconnected. All right, let's go ahead and zoom back out so you can kind of see everything. We do have to remove a screw here holding this battery. Okay, so just remove that one. All right, and actually we can also remove these speakers completely to make it easier. Let's go ahead and remove this cover first though, so that we can remove the trackpad cable. Okay, two screws holding this metal plate in place. Wow, these screws were really tight. Make sure you have a good screwdriver with a solid fit, because you don't want to accidentally strip the screws and then you're not going to be able to ever replace your battery. Alright, so anyways, we're going to now pop this connector out. Actually, let me zoom in for these individual pieces. And then what I do is I usually get my fingernails under like opposite corners like this, and we kind of just wiggle and pull it up. Right, normally there will be adhesive holding this down. If you have the adhesive, you want to slowly, carefully peel it up, pulling this way as you peel it up, and then hold your finger down here so when the adhesive releases, it's not going to yank the whole cable out. All right, then we're going to lift this plastic tab up. There's a little latch here. I use my thumbnail to kind of just pop it like this. All right, once you pop that out, there is adhesive underneath the connector, so you're going to have to slowly, carefully pull on this. All right, we're kind of pulling it up and then also back this way. All right, and you're just going to slowly keep applying pressure and it should eventually peel itself away. There we go, just like that. All right, we're gonna set that aside. Okay, next, as I mentioned, we're going to be removing the speaker. So there's 3 screws on each speaker. Let's go ahead and remove all of those. Okay, again, keep all the screws in order. All right, 2 and 3. All right, there we go. This speaker, let me actually show this, will be, if you want, you can actually leave it attached because this has a wire that goes all the way under here, or cable. So you can kind of pick this up, all right, and then you kind of wiggle this. There's a little adhesive holding this cable here, so we're kind of just going to swing it out of the way and slowly pull the adhesive out, and we're going to move it over to there. Oh, one other thing to make this safer to work on, after disconnecting the battery, you can open up the MacBook and press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. For just replacing the battery, this isn't absolutely necessary, but it does make it a bit safer to work on. The most important time where you have to absolutely hold this power button down is when you replace the LCD screen and mess with the screen connector. All right, anyways, we're just going to leave the speaker over there. Both speaker connectors are basically the same, but this one is trapped underneath this cable here, and that's why I kind of just leave it there so I don't have to fiddle with that. All right, so we're going to remove the 3 screws for this speaker. I know I have it zoomed out quite a bit. I'll zoom in a bit for the connector, but all right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. Okay, so we're going to now remove this connector. The speaker, basically the same as the other one, we're going to go from here and kind of lift it up. Right, once you kind of lift it up, we're going to swing it out. You want to be careful because it is trapped under here a little bit, so we're going to swing this over. All right, once you get that completely out, I like to use my fingernails and get under here, but if you have a small, thin plastic tool like this, this is what you do. You want to get the corner edge under the center of the connector. So we're going to get this tool under here, get the corner edge under the center, and then we're going to kind of twist it to pop it up just like that. All right, and the reason why that is, let me see if I can show this better. Okay, so okay, so if you look at this connector here, in between there's actually a gap here, and at the outer edges it kind of pulls forward a bit. So when you go under, you can see it hits this wall here. So basically, as you're going under, you're going into the bottom of this, and then you're popping the cable out, and that's why we do it that way. All right, we're gonna set that speaker aside, and let's go ahead and get started with prying this battery out. So let's zoom out a bit here. Okay, so the battery, the way you remove this, we use a thin, I'm using this thin tool here. It has a little bit of a bend in it. That's not on purpose. If your tool's completely flat, you don't need to worry about it. But because this has that bend, I point the bend downwards so that way it scrapes into the casing, not into the battery. You don't want it this way and then it will cut or scrape into the battery. All right, so anyways, we're gonna go ahead and just push the tool from here up into that. And you can see we're cutting the adhesive. Again, on this one, you can probably use the floss method. Basically, people just wrap floss around underneath and then just pull it to cut the adhesive. Again, I've never liked that method, but if you want to and you don't have a tool like this or something, you can try doing that. And let's go ahead and cut this pack out. Okay, we're going to just continue doing the same thing. Just pull the tool. You never want to try and slide it this way when the adhesive is in place, because that can cut into the battery. All right, so we're gonna just do that. Once you know it's all cut, you can like easily slide it there, and then you know that you're good to go. All right, we're gonna switch over to this side and do the same thing. All right, I'm left-handed, so this is gonna be a little weird for me, but whatever works. Okay, there we go. And if you get adhesive stuck to it, just peel it off and throw it away. Okay, I'm gonna go over here and the same thing. Okay, and just keep working your way down. Okay, just like that. Okay, and there you go. You can see we got all of that out. All right, now we got the center ones. The center ones are a little bit more tricky, and you want to be a little more careful because you don't want to accidentally damage anything up here or down here where the trackpad is. Okay, and the reason why it's a little tricky is because the trackpad is kind of raised. We're gonna have to go through this one sideways, so we have to go this way, but you can't just go straight in. You have to lift it slightly and then you push the tool in that way. Right, so let's go ahead and get started. Because these components are here and it's a little bit dangerous, if you're not sure what you're doing, you can angle it a little bit in, so that way the tool will cut this way instead of going this. If you accidentally slip, you might cut the trackpad or the keyboard cable up here. So if you're not sure and you're not confident, and you haven't done this before, you can actually work again at an angle, and then you can even leave a little bit of the adhesive over here, and then you can work on that later. But just go over, keep doing the same thing like before. Now we're going from the side, okay, and we're just working our way up. All right, and then usually once you get here, you can kind of go out diagonally, but again, you want to be careful not to hit anything up here. So again, if in doubt, just leave it there. You don't need to cut it. You can cut from this side and then slowly work your way a little bit over. Okay, you don't have to get it all right away. All right, so there we go. You can see this one is pretty much released. We're gonna flip this over and we're gonna basically do the same thing on this side, okay? All right, so just get the tool in and push that through. And then same thing, push that through. Same thing, push that through. Ah, geez. Okay, continue working your way over, push that through. And last one, okay. Then again, we're gonna go slightly at an angle to cut the adhesive on the other, closer to the motherboard, logic board. Again, you want to be careful though. All right, and then we're going to slowly peel this up here because we can't really get that corner, so we're going to slowly carefully pull on this. All right, and there you go, it's releasing itself. Okay, there's a little more adhesive still stuck there that we need to cut, and there we go. All right, so we got all of that out. Hopefully my head didn't get in the way too much, but yeah. All right, we're gonna go ahead and lift this battery pack out. And here you can see underneath what it looks like. As you can see, battery pack is completely fine. Nothing punctured or anything like that. If you do happen to puncture this, you do wanna take this outside. You don't wanna inhale the gases in here because they are toxic. I've had some people bring it. It has like a somewhat of a sweet smell to it actually, but you don't want to smell, you don't want to be breathing that in because it is toxic and you're just damaging your brain. All right, anyways, let's zoom this in. Okay, and then we're gonna get the adhesive residue out of here. So first I'm gonna use a plastic scraping tool because I have one. You can use whatever just to get it started. You can even use your fingernails, but this makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so if you're wondering why my fingernails are long, for certain use cases, they work a lot better. So I've had some people that watch my videos tell me the videos are good, but I need to cut my nails because they can't watch them because of that. I mean, my fingernails are my tools, so I need to use them. People will ask me like, why not get plastic pry tools and things to use instead? But it's similar to saying like you don't like the looks of my hands and then telling me to cut my hands off and get prosthetics. So yeah, why would I cut off like really useful tools to me? So yeah, hopefully those comments will eventually completely die down. I kind of turned it into a joke because now I say like when I work on stuff, I'll randomly be like, nailed it, or I'll say was the other one. So, or I'll say like, I always have my tools on hand because they're on my hand. But yeah. All right, so let's continue peeling this stuff up. And if you're wondering why some of my nails are cut short, those are the ones that I kind of damaged trying to pop some stuff open. And because of that, it starts getting caught on fabrics and things, so I have to actually cut it short. But yeah, let's go ahead and finish. And also, every time I do cut them short, I end up regretting it, so I'll be working on something and it'll be so much more of a pain. All right, so that's my fingernail speech for today. All right, let's go ahead and just continue peeling up all this adhesive. We are going to have to get the remaining adhesive residue out using the rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Technically, you can actually leave this adhesive residue in place and just put the battery on top and not really stick it down. That way in the future, you can actually remove it easily. But there is a little bit of function with peeling this stuff off. So it holds it in place so it won't rattle around. And then because it's attaching to the metal of the laptop, like the body and stuff, it actually helps dissipate a little bit of heat so the battery can run a bit cooler. So there are reasons why you would want to stick it down. Whether it's worth the difference or not, that's up to you. Even if you let it run warmer, it's not gonna like completely kill it really fast. It might just reduce its life a little bit. So it's not super important that you do this completely to make it like factory. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and get this all out. So there's a lot of stuff where I kind of want people to kind of be able to think a little bit, like why things are the way they are. I'm always constantly thinking about like why things are the way they are, how things go together. That's kind of why I do this kind of work, because I look at things and then I go, okay, well, why is it glued into place like this? Why is it done like this? There's a lot of reasons why they glue it into place. Huge reason is Apple doesn't want people replacing their batteries, which is kind of dumb because even Apple won't do this kind of repair for you. They'll tell you if you need a new battery, they'll replace your entire keyboard, which doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess it's nice you'll have a new keyboard, but it costs like way more to do. Okay, more than double the cost. So I don't think it makes sense. All right. Okay, so we got all the adhesive out. Now we got to get the residue out. So it helps to kind of scrape up the residue a bit. But you can also do that when when we have the isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol on it. It makes it a lot easier to scrape this stuff up and clean it up. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to start over on this side, okay? And we're going to pour some rubbing alcohol in there. You want to be careful not to pour it in here. I mean, rubbing alcohol by itself isn't really an issue, but when it starts dissolving this stuff and then going into everywhere, that can be a problem. You don't want sticky, goopy stuff flowing into your trackpad and then making it, like, the clicky motion not work properly. All right, so we're going to get the rubbing alcohol and just move it around into the adhesive residue areas. Okay, since we have this, we can also kind of pick some up and get it onto these adhesive areas. And you kind of want to avoid the screws if you can. It's okay if you get it a little bit on it, but you don't want to like just be getting the rubbing alcohol all over everything. Okay. And we're just going to grab the rubbing alcohol from here and continue getting it here so we can get this stuff out a lot easier. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but the adhesive starts turning a little more like milky in color. And that's how you kind of know that it's ready. You can kind of scrape it up. You can see it turns to like this boogery stuff. Okay, scoopy slime. All right, so we're just gonna scrape it all to one spot so that we have all the rubbing alcohol there, and we can continue kind of transferring it over to the other adhesive over here so that it helps us remove it. Okay, we're gonna go over here as well. Okay. And you want to clean up this residue stuff before the isopropyl alcohol dries, because if it dries, it'll just solidify again and turn all stuck again. So we're going to have to try and be a little quick because we're running out of time there. Okay, you can see this stuff all turned white, so we should be able to kind of scrape it up. As you can see, that goop kind of just scraped up. Okay, and we're going to kind of do the same thing over here and just kind of scrape it all together. All right, you can see how easily we're getting this goopy stuff out. This one kind of has to soak a bit more, but there you can see all that goop is coming out nicely. Okay. And again, we're going to try and avoid the screw holes. Okay, so now we got all that goop out. We're going to get some paper towel and clean it up. Okay, so we're just going to get small pieces and we'll just pick it up. Okay, you don't want to wipe it onto the thing. So what I did was I squeezed it together, folded it inside the paper towel, and then I used the other side to kind of wipe it up. All right, so this still has some residue there. We're probably gonna have to use some rubbing alcohol to clean it up later. But basically we just want to thin it out as much as possible. So that way when we go over it again with a paper towel with rubbing alcohol, it will wipe off really easily. All right, we're gonna put some more over here on this side. All right, so we're just gonna carefully pour a little more here. Okay. Just like that, and then we're gonna get this stuff over here. Okay, just like that, nice and easy. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with the part here in the middle again, just to clean it up a bit more. Okay. Once you clean it up enough, we're just going to use a paper towel with some rubbing alcohol on it, and it'll be really easy to clean it off. Okay, so here you can see we can scrape all that goop up. I don't know if you can see, but this adhesive started turning milky white. It's very clear in person, but in the camera it's hard to see, I think. Either that or just my screen that shows it isn't showing it properly. Okay, we're gonna now get the paper towel and we're gonna wipe this stuff up here. Okay, scrape up this adhesive. Okay, you can see how white and goopy that stuff is all coming out. Okay, and we'll clean this off. Good, now we're just gonna get paper towel and start wiping up the residue. If you want, you can actually get some rubbing alcohol and pour it directly to the paper towel here. Okay. Then we can go ahead and clean this up. Just like this. You want to be careful not to knock around the trackpad and damage it. Alright, so we're just going to kind of wipe this up. Alright, you also want to be careful of this cable, of course. This is the keyboard cable. If you damage that, that is a huge pain to replace the keyboard, so keep that in mind. Alright. Alright, there we go. Let's go ahead and clean this up again a little more. Alright. And just keep wiping it until we get all the residue out. We will have to keep cleaning, switching to like a clean new paper towel to get all this residue out, because it'll just spread a really thin layer as we continue cleaning it. And as we switch to a new paper towel and add more rubbing alcohol, we can actually clean off that residue. Alright. And what I'm doing is I'm just folding over the paper towel to a clean spot and then doing it again. Alright. Clean this up. There we go. Alright. Let's go ahead and go over again with a clean piece. Okay, there we go. Wipe this up. Okay, I'm going to do these sides first because it's harder to see the residue. Once I go into the center, you can actually see the residue that's left behind. And it's more visible once it dries, as you can see. Alright, I'm going to switch over to a clean side again and wipe it up. And it's nearly impossible to get 100% of all that residue out, so if you can't get it all out, don't worry about it. That's normal. Alright, as you can see, you can keep wiping it and it's just going to kind of keep spreading it around. But as you kind of use another paper towel and do it, it does get a little bit better, but you can only dilute it so much and it's just going to keep staying there. So don't worry about it too much. Once you get it to like a decent amount where it doesn't show too much residue, then you can stop there. Okay. this over, and probably just wipe it this last time. Okay. Okay. So there we go. All right, so next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put in the replacement battery. So we got this. All right, let's go ahead and open up the new battery. Okay, so most of the time the new battery will come like in a box like this with this. I'm gonna take off the other layer. Okay, it does come with screwdrivers as well. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. So the battery will be like this. You'll have a solid piece here that protects the adhesive, and then you'll have this layer on top. We're gonna leave this layer on top, and we're gonna peel this layer off. Okay, so you wanna carefully roll it back like this, okay? All right, and then when you go to put this on, you wanna make sure to line this part up. That's the most important part. Okay, so line that up. You wanna make sure the screw hole is visible through there, okay? Because if it's not visible, you're not going to be able to move it around later. So that's very important, okay? Then we're going to slowly drop this into place. Okay, you don't want to snap everything down into place yet. Let's go ahead and get the T5 or Torx 5 screw that was holding the battery in place, and we'll put that back. Okay. All right, so once we got that battery screw in place, we can go ahead and start getting these speakers in place as well. That way we can make sure everything is lined up properly. Okay, you can see it will hold that battery pack down in place. Let's go ahead and get those 3 screws in. All right, I'm going to loosely fit the screws first just to make sure everything is lined up right, so you don't want to tighten it in first. Okay, now that we got that, we can go ahead and tighten these screws down. Just like that, and last one here. Okay, make sure the cable is going behind this metal piece. Now we're going to get the other speaker. Let me actually zoom in a little bit so you can see better, since we have to reconnect this one. So we have to go in at an angle like this to get underneath this extended metal piece, then swing it over. All right, then we'll line this up and just click that into place. Good. Make sure to push down the adhesive part. All right, and let's go ahead now and get the screws back in. Again, we're just going to loosely fit the screws first. That one, this one, and the last one. All right, and now we can go ahead and tighten them all the way down. And there we go. All right. So now we got all of that. You want to make sure everything looks lined up, and then you can actually push the battery pack down completely. Oops, coming out too much. Then you can go ahead and push the battery pack down completely, make sure it's all sticking in place. And then we're going to peel up this clear protective film. All right, so the way you do that, you want to roll this film off. You don't want to just pull it straight up. So you roll it like this. That way it doesn't separate the layers of the battery inside. And that should prolong the life of the battery. If you separate the layers, it can cause damage to the battery and can cause it to fail prematurely. Okay, so there we go. Make sure that's pressed in and make sure that's good. And there we go. All right, so we got all of that. Let's go ahead now and get the trackpad or touchpad cable back in. I keep having to zoom in and zoom out, but yeah. All right, you're gonna wanna hold this tab up out of the way with your thumb. Make sure that latches up. And we're gonna insert this cable at an angle, like from the top, all right? So just like that, and then I have my fingers behind it to help pull the cable in. There we go, and then just slide your finger over the latch to pull it back down, and there we go. All right, next we're gonna reconnect this cable. Just get it lined up. You don't need to push down the adhesive here yet. Oh, there's some dust in there, so let me clean that up real quick. Okay, I'm gonna get this lined up. And then click it down into place. Good. All right, let's zoom out again. Okay, once you got this cable in, you can kind of just work your way from the middle outwards to make sure it's kind of evenly spread the force of this bend here in the middle. You don't actually have to push it down. You can leave it like floating up and the cover will kind of push it down, but yeah, if you want it more centered, you can kind of do it manually. Okay. Then we're gonna put these screws in. I'm gonna loosely fit one first. Then we'll get the second one here and get that in. All right, we're gonna have to also do a PRAM and SMC reset after this. Anytime you do any big hardware changes, or even small ones for that matter, it's good to do a PRAM and SMC reset. All right, we got all the screws back in. Now we need to reconnect the battery here. So the easiest way I found is you kind of get one corner in. Right now it's kind of already doing that. This thing, the adhesive here is kind of messing it up. So we're gonna actually peel this off a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can peel this up. Oh, that's actually stuck on there real good. So let's peel this top portion off. Okay, so that way we can actually move this around. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna line this part up. You get one corner in all the way as much as you can. Then you can use that as a pivot point to help guide the rest and push that down into place. All right, make sure everything goes in all the way completely, and then you can go ahead and stick this back on top. All right, it's a little bit crooked, so let's fix that. And there we go. All right, and then now we're gonna put the bottom cover back on and do a PRAM and SMC reset. So let's get the bottom cover back on. We'll do the PRAM and SMC reset first, just to make sure everything is working. All right, you can see it's no longer inflated. If you see here, it doesn't really move anymore like before. So let's go ahead and open this up and do the SMC reset. If you plug it in, the light here, if it's orange, when you do the SMC reset, it'll turn green and then back to orange. That's how you know you did the SMC reset properly. Basically, Control Option Shift on the left side, hold those down, then press the power button once, and then you can go ahead and let go. The light will go orange, or it'll go green, then back to orange. If your battery is already like 90% or more, it's just gonna stay green, so don't worry about that. All right, and then after that, give it a few seconds, and then we're gonna try the PRAM reset. So PRAM reset, you power it on, press the power button, and immediately after, Command Option P and R. Okay, so power button, Command Option P and R. Assuming it's gonna power on, we'll see. All right, so the screen should come on. You should see the screen go off, which I just did. The screen was like very faintly like lit up blackish purple. You can do this in a dark room so you can see the screen better, or you can wait till you hear the chime, keep holding it, and then you can wait for a second chime, and then you know you did the PRAM reset. So if you don't hear the chime the first time, it's most likely because the laptop was left muted the last time it was used. And yeah. All right, so it's starting up. You see the Apple logo, and that should be it. We just got to put all the screws back in. We're going to switch back over to the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver and put everything back together. We're going to wait for this to boot up. I'm keeping the screen out of the view just because sometimes the customers don't like when their username is showed. But yeah, so we'll give it a bit. I see the mouse cursor now, so the trackpad, touchpad is working, as you can see. All right. Still loading, and there you go, you can see get started. Okay, so I don't know what's going on here. Oh, okay, I guess they wiped out this computer before. Alright, anyways, we're gonna close this up. The customer didn't ask me to do anything software wise to this one, they just asked me to replace the battery, so I'll leave that as is, and hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. Alright, let's zoom out. Again, we're using the Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver, and we're gonna put back all the bottom screws. If you somehow did manage to mix them up, the back two here are shorter than the rest, if I didn't already mention that. I've worked on these models so many times. I've replaced so many batteries on these, so many screens, so many SSDs and things like that. So yeah, I kind of already memorized like most of these screws, where they go. If I were to somehow mix them up, I would, most of the time I'd be able to figure out where they came from. But it's a lot easier if you keep it organized to begin with. And yeah. Alright, you're welcome to stay as I put back the rest of the screws, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, if this video helped you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Feel free to leave a comment. I usually respond to every single comment. YouTube sometimes auto-deletes them and doesn't give me a chance to even view them to bring them back. I don't know why, but yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. Alright. And if this thing saved you a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.